Hello, believers, non-believers, and everyone in between. You're listening to Stories with Sapphire. I am Sapphire Sandalo. Now get cozy and open your mind because it's story time.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Stories with Sapphire Live. I've been doing this live stream for a couple weeks, but over on my Twitch, and I am moving them now over to YouTube. So here we are. Sorry about the little bit of a late start because I haven't streamed on YouTube from this computer in a while, so I was figuring things out. Anyways, this is the live stream that I do every Wednesday at 5:30 Pacific. And as you imagine, I get a lot of emails and stories, and they can't all make it to the podcast, you know? There's only so much time. And so this is an opportunity for me to read all those other stories and emails that may not make it to the show. And also, hey, maybe it will make it to the podcast. We don't know. Welcome, everybody. If at any point audio or video goes out, let me know so I can figure out what's going on. But I believe everyone can hear and see me okay, I think. All right, cool. So because this is a special live stream, I'm going to go longer than half an hour like I usually do. Let's see if we can do an hour. Let's see how my voice can handle it. You guys like my glasses? I don't usually wear these. They kind of make me look a little cross-eyed, but all right. And if you're new here, at the end of every stream, I like to draw a card from my favorite deck. This is the Angels and Ancestors Oracle deck, and it's always a good time. I love this deck so much. Are y'all ready? All right. Let's begin with a short-ish one. Yeah, let's ease into it. All right, here we go. And also, just a heads up, when I'm reading the story, I can't read the chat, so I might have to catch up on the chat, but all right, let's do this. This is from Dolly. And also a reminder, I don't read these ahead of time, so I might stumble. This is the loosey-goosey version of Stories with Sapphire, so forgive me. All right, here we go. Okay, so this happened today just a few minutes ago. I was in the basement on the computer playing a pageant game. In the other room of the basement was my brother. Wanting to break the silence, I started telling him about the game I was playing. To my surprise, he responded by asking more about it. I told him, and he would reply saying stuff like, "Oh, that's cool. Did you win?" A few minutes later, we stopped talking. Eventually, I got thirsty, and before heading upstairs, I said, "Hey, I'm going up. You want anything?" He said, "No, I'm good." I went upstairs. My brother was already upstairs with my dad. I wasn't so surprised. I have five siblings, so I assumed one of them was messing with me. I went downstairs again and looked in the room. Nobody was there. WTF, I thought. I went back upstairs to tell him about what just happened. He said he never talked to me about some pageant game. I retraced my thoughts, and I didn't remember seeing him in the basement the whole time. Was it a ghost? I don't know, but I'm doing plenty of prayers today. Dolly. Whoa! I love a doppelganger story. All right, so I actually do have a quick little anecdote I want to share. Apparently, there is a section of my apartment that's haunted. It's really weird because it's just just one section. But okay, I'll tell you a little story. So this happened maybe a month or so ago. My sister was sleeping over, and on her last night here, I wanted to sleep in the living room with her so we could fall asleep to the TV. It's just easier for me to fall asleep to noise, which I know is actually really bad, but hey, that's for another time. And so I'm laying on one of the couches. My sister is on the other couch, and I turned off all the lights. I set the TV to sleep timer so that in an hour after we'd fallen asleep, TV would be off, right? So in the middle of the night, I wake up and I wear an eye mask because I'm really sensitive to light changes when I'm sleeping. And I'm laying there and I wake up and I can see, the bottom of my eye mask that the light in the room is on. And, I'm laying lengthwise on the couch. And when I open my eyes and in front of me, where my feet are, I can vaguely see a person. And it sounds like my sister. And she says, "Sissy, wake up. I can't sleep. Wake up, Sissy. I can't sleep." And I am so tired and confused, but I ignore her and I eventually go back to sleep. I'm assuming this is a dream. And, or actually, I wasn't sure. Anyways, I fall back asleep, and then in the morning, I turn to my sister and say, "Hey, did you wake up in the middle of the night and turn on the lights?" And my sister's like, "No." And I was like, yo, I could have sworn, that you got up in the middle of the night and turned on the lights because it was so unbelievably vivid. And she's like, "No, that wasn't me." So, here's the thing. That incident on its own, okay, cool. Obviously, I was dreaming, had a very vivid dream. That actually happens to me a lot where I think that I'm awake, but I'm still in the dream state because I'm dreaming about something very real and very it's weird. It happens to me all the time. But then my cousin and her husband slept over a week or so ago when my husband was out of town. I had them come over because I was scared. And they were sleeping on that couch that I had slept on when I saw my sister, and I was on the other couch. And in the morning, my cousin turns to me and goes, "Did you get up in the middle of the night?" And it freaked me the crap out. I was like, "No, I didn't. Why?" And she's like, "Well, in the middle of the night, I woke up and I looked over and I saw this like a figure, just like the lights are off, so it's dark, and it's walking to the bathroom. And her dog was sitting next to her, lying right next to her, and her ears were up and she was looking at it too. So she knows that her dog saw it too." So, yeah, I don't know. There's something that's duplicating people in my house just in this one spot, though, which is weird. Anyways. Oh boy. All right. We're off to a very interesting start here, y'all. Let me catch up on the chat real quick. I did see a message from Adam. Hi, Adam. Adam's awesome. Yes, I did see your story. I haven't read it on the live stream yet because I might read it on a podcast. So it's a good thing if I don't read it on the live stream. I might just read it for the live stream anyway. All right, y'all. Zoo-chan. Yeah, it's time for you to move to a new house again. I mean, I'm moving into a house that's old. I don't think it's haunted, though. We were there this morning and nothing but good vibes, man. All right, you ready for another story? This one is from Glenn. "Good evening, Ate. Just discovered your channel a couple days ago and I've been hooked. I have a story, not really scary, but it gave me goosebumps, about my Lolo that passed away back in the summer of 2015. My family has always been superstitious. I was raised Catholic, but growing up I tried to use logic and brush off the creepy things that happened. So we held the funeral in the Philippines, and after the burial, my sister said she saw him in the mirror inside his old room. She also said she smelled cigarettes. He was a smoker. She was 15 at the time, and she was always an honest kid, so she couldn't have been making it up. Fast forward to January 24 of 2021, around 10 p.m. I'm home alone. My roommate is out of town. I'm getting drunk on my own, singing Ilocano songs, celebrating my 22nd birthday 2 hours early. I knock out, and in my dream, I'm at a food court. I order a bowl of pho, sit down, and start eating. I look up and see my Lolo, dressed in white, shining. I don't remember the exact conversation, but we just catch up. He says he's proud and then says goodbye. I woke up with teary eyes and a racing heart. I told my family that story, and my Lola said he came to visit me on my birthday. She said it really was him because pho was one thing he loved to eat. I wasn't thinking about my Lola that night. I was just drinking and having fun by myself, but he somehow showed up in my dream. I'm in the military. I've always been a rational person, but after that event, I now have animistic and polytheistic beliefs, just like our ancestors prior to colonialism. I still believe in God, though. I try to be more spiritual and get guidance from them. Thank you for reading my story. Glenn. Wow, I love that. Thank you, Glenn. All right, I'm going to mark that as read. It's funny. My cousin, and this is actually in the episode of my podcast that went out today. If you haven't listened to it, listen to it. Stories with Sapphire, available anywhere that you listen to podcasts. My cousin, or Genesis in the podcast, she mentions that she had a dream where she went into this house that she didn't know. And then there was this old man and old woman. They offered her soup, sabao. Those were the spirits of our great grandma and great grandpa. She had never met our great grandpa because he died a very long time ago. I guess soup is a common meal in the spirit world. Maybe because it's so cold, they want to warm up with a nice bowl of soup. I don't know, man. All right. Thank you so much, Glenn. That was great. All right, we got another story here. This is, or hopefully I can. Looks like a, okay. So this is from Francisco. I have had 6 beautiful dreams and I want to share them with you all. I'll start with the longest one. This is what I saw and felt. It was a normal day like any other. Suddenly a vision came to me. A fire started. The fire was bright and white. It was from just like a wall. It was formed just like a wall, very tall, and it started moving forward. Everything that it passed was burned. Trees, houses, buildings, cars, roads. It was just disintegrating everything. What was left behind, brown dirt, white smoke coming out. The fire had reached a city and everyone had seen the fire. They all panicked. They were trying to get away from it. Some were running to the airport. The airport is full of people. They're running on top of each other. Some planes take off. The planes are flying higher than the fire. But when the planes are crossing the fire, the planes are disintegrating until they're completely gone. My vision ends, and I'm scared. The first thing I do is pray, and I cry out loud, Lord, please forgive all my sins. I know with your blood you have defeated death, and if I believe in you, I will never die but live eternal life. I got up, started walking, and saw a group of people, about 4. They were talking, listening to music, having some drinks. I got closer and told them the end is coming. Please ask God forgiveness for all your sins. He will forgive you. They answer, you're stupid. Relax. Have a drink. Then I saw the fire coming closer. I stared, counting from 10 backwards. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The fire hits me. Everything went blank. It was so bright and I couldn't see anything. I didn't feel any pain. Then I'm in a long corridor. I'm by myself. That I see this white garment flowing towards me, but I can't turn around to see who it is, but I know someone is behind me. I can't talk, but somehow I can communicate with him. And out of nowhere, a room appears in front of me. I saw myself doing sin after sin. Then I was pulled out of the room and the room was gone. Right in front of me, a glass door appears. On the other side of this door, I saw one person standing. The ground looked like it was on fire, black and red and smoke coming from it. I walked closer to the guy. Somehow I knew he wanted a hug. I hugged him, but I didn't feel what he felt. Then I was pulled out. The door was gone. Then I was back on Earth. But it was not the same Earth. This Earth only had houses, big houses, some by the ocean, green grass, trees, flowers. It was calm and relaxing. I didn't see anyone else there. I asked, where is everyone? He responded, Their time is not yet come. I said, then when it's time. I said, when is it time? He said, 1 minute here is 1 year on Earth. I responded, oh, so that's why you haven't come back. It's only been a few days since you left. As soon as I said that, I woke up. Wait, what? And it says one of six dreams that they mentioned. I do apologize for my grammar. It might be better if I tell it than writing it. Let me know. Whoa, Francisco. That's actually pretty wild because I had a very similar dream. And I've mentioned it on this before. I mentioned it here on the live stream. But I also mentioned it again in today's podcast episode. Y'all should listen to it. I believe it's after the first story. So in the first chapter, I have a very apocalyptic dream that did change my life in a lot of ways. But the way you're describing the end of the world, that's what it reminded me of. Ugh, okay. All right. Was there anything else I wanted to bring up about that one? Well, I guess speaking of counting down to things, had a really weird dream last night. I have been having such weird dreams lately, man. It's because I listened to these lucid dreaming tracks beforehand, and I'm having a very nonsense dream, and then out of nowhere, I feel like a hand grab the back of my head, and I can't see who it is, but I just freeze because I feel it, and then I stop, and I can't see behind me, but the impression that I get in my brain is that it's like, it sounds kind of cliche, but it felt very grim reaper-y, where it had a skull, ghoulish face, and then like cloaked, wearing a large cloak with a hood. And I just felt its hand, and it was like large and bony. And I tried moving my arms, but I couldn't move. And then I thought, oh, I'm dreaming. And then the second I realized that, I got so much more brave. And I asked, who is that? And I wouldn't, like, I'm such a freaking scaredy cat, but I just felt really brave in that moment. And then I hear this deep, ominous voice coming from behind me, and it says, 6 months. And then I wake up. And so I'm laying there, and usually when I have a nightmare or something scary, my heart's like pounding, but I'm totally chill. And what I saw in my head was really scary, and I was like, whoa, I was actually really proud of myself. I was like, whoa, that's the first time that I saw something in my dream that freaked me out, but I don't feel as much fear as I did before. So as I'm laying there, I'm like, okay, let me do the math. I was like, what's 6 months from today? And then I realized that it is a significant day for someone in my family, and I don't know what to make of it. I'm still trying to figure that out. But yeah, isn't that weird? I don't like a mystery countdown, but there it is. All right, here we go. Next story. All right, we got a short one here. This one is from Ash. Actually, let me catch up with the chat real quick. Okay. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. My thing is not scrolling. That's fine. All right, here we go. I was about 9 or 10 years old when me, my 3 cousins, my uncle, and his girlfriend went on a camping trip near a lake we used to fish at. We ate dinner and roasted marshmallows, then went to bed. Later that night, my cousin woke me up crying. I asked her why. She said she saw a shadow walking around the tent. I responded with, go back to sleep, as I was still tired. About 20 minutes later, she woke me up again, saying, I need to go to the bathroom. I replied, saying, hold it. Eventually, she found an empty bottle in the tent and went to the bathroom. But 5 minutes later, a figure appeared. The figure started walking then jogging, then running all around the tent. Me and my cousins started crying. Then another one of our cousins woke up and asked, "What is that?" I responded with, "Shh, be quiet. It might be a schminschmacher." 10 minutes later, I saw a humanoid creature standing on 4 legs and was hairless. I panicked and woke up my older cousin, who was 16 at the time. She screamed at me for waking her. I told her, "There's a dark figure in the woods." Oh no. Um, that is the ultimate cliffhanger. I don't know what happened after that. Obviously, you're okay since you sent in that email. Um, I do want to say I get a lot of comments or in the chats and comments of people being like, "Why do you not say Schminschbacher?" Even though there's videos of me saying it, but that was me being an ignorant little baby. Um, it's just taboo and a weird, also kind of disrespectful. The idea is that when you say it, you are calling them to you. Um, it's just, yeah, it feels more respectful to not say it, you know. Anyways, okay, we got another story here. Ooh, we are blazing through. Sorry, don't know why I'm saying that. Okay. Oh, this is interesting. This is from John. "Hey Ate, my name is John, and I'm an avid listener to your content since YouTube. So I'm kind of new to the paranormal, I suppose. I haven't had any specific experiences myself, at least none I can verify, but I found myself more and more getting drawn into learning as much as I can about these things. An ex of mine even got me into doing tarot readings a couple years ago. Eating podcasts like yours for breakfast over here. I'm curious if you had any insight on this at all. I'm wondering what to do with this interest. Do I start checking out haunted places now, or should I just stick to reading about these things? I've only really ever talked about it with a close friend of mine who's a bit more knowledgeable about that stuff than me, sensitive Wiccan, but she tells me knowledge can be dangerous. While I understand that and honestly have been careful not to get too deep into anything, I feel like she's being a bit overprotective. Just turned 24, but she still treats me like I'm 16 when we met, and I was admittedly a little too headstrong when it came to that stuff. I get it and love her, but I still kind of feel drawn to know more about the paranormal. I'm conflicted. Thanks for listening. If you do read this, stay safe, stay healthy, and please keep the stories coming." All right. So, John, I get emails like this a lot. Sorry, I heard there's like a loud helicopter. Yeah, I get emails like this a lot. Frequently it's people who maybe grew up in either a Catholic or a Christian household, and they were always taught to avoid talking about dark things, ghosts, demons, things like that. Which I understand. It's weird. My family was very open to talking about a lot of stuff, but when it came to certain things, it was like, no, 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 no. And the way that I see it, I think historically, knowledge has been used as a scare tactic. Wait, is that what I want to say? No. Let me rephrase. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out my answer as I'm saying it. I think that there are a lot of things that are kept from people in the guise of being for your protection, when really it's just to keep people in the dark. And I don't think it's a coincidence that people are drawn to these types of things. I am not anyone to tell anyone how to live their life, what belief system to believe, but I truly do believe that you should follow the thing that makes your soul feel more aligned. Like that's all we can really do. So if you're interested in something I think knowledge is a good thing in this case. I know your friend John mentioned that knowledge can be dangerous, but I think that they were talking about more in the sense of like if you might dive too deep into a hole that you're unable to get yourself out. So here's my advice for people who are interested in diving into the paranormal, supernatural, whatever. Make sure that you keep a balance of protection or curiosity. Make sure that your curiosity is always balanced out by protection and respect. Because I think what can happen is people see these videos on YouTube of people running around buildings and capturing activity, and it seems really cool and fun. But if you don't super know what you're doing, you are making yourself vulnerable to things you may not be equipped to handle. And that's where the danger comes. So every time anyone tells me, like, you better be careful, it's like, yeah, it's why I practice a lot of protective things, protective ritual. I do a lot of protective rituals um, to make sure that no matter what situation I'm in, I'm okay. You know what I mean? Anyways, that was a long way of answering that. Okay, this one. Oh, how many more? Oh, yeah, I got a lot. Okay. Whoa, wait. V Venom00 says, I had a dream where I was giving someone a you know, when suddenly I was pulled under my bed and then killed multiple times. And when I thought I woke up, I went to my mother who just killed me. Wait, what? I don't think I understood that. All right, this is called A Drunken Mistake. Hi, at the Sapphire. Let me make sure that they don't want me to hide their name. Okay. Hi, at the Sapphire. This is Misha. We've been tuned to you since your snarl days. I was, or mainly my sisters and I, were glad to have found you sooner after we realized you weren't on the channel anymore. We replayed your videos until we didn't get scared anymore, which is technically a lie still, and had the gist of the script. This story I'll be telling isn't mine, but my grandparents'. They lived in a quiet, isolated from modernization town in Lanao, which is a province in the northern region of Mindanao. They don't live there anymore, but that was their hometown before moving to a centered city in Mindanao. Anyway, I'll be telling this because my grandmother and grandfather believed in entities that lived among us, that they call Dili Ingonato, which means those not like us in English. And they had experienced it firsthand to be oblivious of those things. I don't remember their names, and I don't plan on using them even if I do. My grandfather's name is Robin. They lived in this house beside the river, and crossing that river, you'd come across Robin's cousin, Daniel. Let me tell you, my grandfather's cousin was a drunkard, and he almost always got drunk every night. In this town, they knew everyone, including those to be rumored as wak-wak, or basically a general term for spirits, ghosts, poltergeist, or anything that disturbs someone in an evil way. And so, there was this neighbor, Aling Marta. Marta was rumored to be flying about at night and scaring neighbors who were talking behind her back. She was an elderly, but my grandparents were assuming that her whole heritage came from wak-waks. When the day came, Daniel got drunk in his home. The moment he heard tussling in the roof, along with rustles, he knew it was Marta. Daniel, who wasn't in a state of mind, joked to Aling Marta. Hey, Marta, I could see your genitals from down here, he said in an inebriated voice. The wak-wak continued scratching his roof. There was no way the wak-wak wasn't pissed with that. And minutes came. There came a hole. Daniel, who at this point was a total prick, resumed his teasing. He teased about seeing Aling Marta's bilat and all that it was dripping, even though the rain was the one doing the job. He pretty much passed out after that. When he came to in the morning, he woke up to an open wound in his belly button stretching to his stomach. Daniel frantically called for my grandfather, who was awoken at 7 a.m. by ringing shouts. Soon after, Daniel learned his lesson. I guess not completely because of the whole getting drunk at night thing he does. But he never slept at his house again. He became a frequent guest and sleeper at my grandfather Robin's house. He refused to get admitted because of hospital bills and instead settled for someone's sewing skills. I guess that's it. If you somehow come across and read this, Ate, can you say hi to Jane, Rose, and Cassandra? They are my sisters. Continue doing what you love, Ate. Oh, wow. That's wild. So interesting thing about alcohol. I don't know how many of you guys in the chat are of drinking age, but it apparently lowers your vibration. And so, it is the reason why, like, if people get blackout drunk, that is sort of, in a way, I don't know. It's like you become open to uh, being inhabited by like not necessarily good entities. Do you know what I mean? Okay, we're not gonna. Okay, let's see. How much time do we got? 6:04. Okay. I've got a couple more. So this one is from. This is from Rainy. It's called Dreams Before the Funeral. Hi, Sapphire. First off, let me just say I love Ghost Town Terror, also Paranormal Caught on Camera. I have a question that I never got the answer to, and I'm still wondering the meaning of these very vivid dreams. In 2010, a friend of mine was coming home from the next town over, about 7 miles away, and at about 6 p.m. on December 29th, she was entering into town where we're from. She was speeding because her and her husband had a fight, and she was angry. She was going 90 miles an hour and saw the speed limit sign for 50 and hit the brakes. When she did that, she lost control of her car and flew out of the windshield and landed on the opposite side of the highway with her car landing on her, then into the ditch. I drove right past the emergency lights and had no idea it was her until an hour or so later. I was in complete shock and speechless when I found out, obviously crying uncontrollably as well. It was a terrible car accident. Her body was taken down 5 hours away to Minneapolis for the autopsy, and I recall it was at least a week and a half before her funeral that, night after night, she came into my dreams. She already had a small sign for her in the cemetery next to her sister, who passed away when she was younger. I remember the snow being so deep and going up to my thighs, but I kept pushing through to place these fake pink flowers next to her sign. That night, I dreamt of the pure white place and an old man who was bald with hair around the side of his neck who I didn't recognize, and Cassandra was in the background talking to someone who I could only see the back of her. It was weird because it was like she didn't want me to see her face yet. She landed face first on the road in the accident. And the old man said she appreciated the flowers, and I woke up in a sweat, crying. Then the next night, she was in my dream again, except me, my sister, Cassandra's sister, were standing in the church where her funeral was held, and she was in her coffin, but she was laying on her stomach, and her head was facing not out to the people, but towards the inside of her coffin. And then she kind of crawled out and came up to her sister, me and my sister. We all grew up together, by the way. And each of us were hugging her and crying. But her sister said to us, "Be careful hugging her. She broke her back." Then I woke up. And the third, but not the last dream I had about her before her funeral, I only recall these first 3 dreams since it has been 12 years that she's been gone. But in this dream, she looked beautiful. Her hair was down and straight. I could tell because she had somewhat curly hair and her makeup. Her hair was down and straightened. I could tell because she had somewhat curly hair and her makeup was done even though she was naturally beautiful and didn't need makeup. Her and I were standing on the highway where her accident was, and she was pointing into the grassy median and telling me, "This is where I crashed and landed here with a car on me, then into the ditch." As she was pointing at the same spots where she did actually pass away, I remembered I wanted to ask her so many questions and crying, wanting or asking her to come back. But she was smiling and said she was okay now. I woke up. Then the day of her wake, my sister and a couple of our friends who also knew her walked into the church, greeting her one sister that was in my dreams as well. They were very close. As she walked us down the aisle to see her, my breathing increased, and we all just stared in disbelief. I couldn't believe she was right in front of me in a coffin. I stared at her chest, waiting, hoping for her to breathe, and thinking this was a nightmare, but it wasn't. She was laying there. They put a plate in her to form her forehead, and at the time I didn't know that she landed face first on the highway. I found out that day at her wake from her sister. So then it made sense with my first dream and why I couldn't see her face. As my knees became weak, I had to excuse myself and came back. And her mom gave me and my sister the biggest hugs, saying, "You two are lucky to have each other. Don't take anything for granted." And finally, at her funeral the next day, as full as it could be and people outside listening to the service, there was not a dry eye in sight. The last thing I remember at the funeral was her husband sitting with their kids, who were 2 and 5 at the time, and her mom next to them, who at the beginning of the service let out a loud cry I can still hear to this day. Sorry for the long, detailed email, but my main question is, why me? Why did she come to me out of all the people who knew her? She came to me in my dreams with unforgettable, very real details. Don't get me wrong, I felt blessed she did. I just never figured out why. Wow. Okay, well, very sorry for your loss, Rainey. There is actually an answer for that. So, everybody has some level of psychic intuition, but the level that we have it is different. Just like how some people are maybe more naturally gifted with music or drawing or sports. But like all skills, they can be learned or improved and worked on. And there are just people, you, Rini, might be a person who you were more of a receptive, what's the word I'm looking for? You're more receptive to receiving the messages from her at the time than anyone else. Like you just had the biggest beacon. Does that make sense? Yeah. Because sometimes what can happen is if people on the other side have messages for their loved ones here, the message comes through someone who was able to hear it. Because not everyone can hear the messages of the dead. I hope that answered it for you. Oops. Okay. Let's do... Ooh, this sounds interesting. This one's called He Sold His Soul to the Devil. Okay. Hello, Sapphire. My name is Adiva. Don't know if I pronounced that right. It's been a while since I shared a story with you, and I truly hope you like this one because it's very heartfelt to me and something I haven't healed from yet. Do you believe in selling your soul to the devil? I certainly did not until very recently. I had a friend. Let's call him Brian for the sake of the story. Brian was never a very spiritual or religious person. He'd gone through a breakup around that time, and I watched him fall into a depression that he would never recover from later on. Slowly, he started showing up to school wearing some questionable jewelry. I'm not educated on that stuff, so I wouldn't know exactly what they were, but I did notice an upside-down cross, not sure what it means, given that I come from a Muslim family. Brian started getting distant and eventually stopped talking to everyone. And then he stopped coming to class. Once in a blue moon, he would show up with homework and about 10 pieces of jewelry. I always felt a weird aura around him and a smell of smoke. At first, I didn't think anything of it and thought I was paranoid because of his new clothing style. I should mention that Brian doesn't come from a wealthy family and he never owned anything fancy. So when he started showing up to school again wearing expensive clothes and started driving a new car, I was surprised. I thought he had a lot going on for himself, hence him not coming to class. But something felt off. There was no way you can get that wealthy under such a short period of time. And we're talking 2 months max. He started talking to me again, and we actually got pretty close again. One of those days, I asked him about his new car and how he affords all those things because I was genuinely curious. He feeds off of me, and I get what I want, he looked at me and said with a meek smile. I didn't know what that meant until he disappeared completely after a month from that conversation. His mom called me and explained that he'd been found in his room, unconscious, and later pronounced dead. She never gave me any other details. What do you think? Did he really sell his soul? Or was it something explainable that I can't put my finger on? Brian was such a sweet kid before all this, and as interesting as his story may be, I miss him so much. We had some amazing memories together, and he would never leave my side during school. I really hope this was a natural death and not an unexplainable one. He deserves the best. Rest in peace to an amazing friend. Thank you for reading my story. I'll continue and try to send you these true stories when I can because I have more than I can count with my two hands. Whoa. Adiva. That's wild. Kyun, maybe his parents got a promotion or something? I mean, that's a good guess. But scrumptious, but for a promotion, why would he use so much of that money for a car? Drew C, he did sell his soul. So, I feel like that phrase is very loaded. Like, what does selling your soul to the devil actually mean? The way that I understand it is that not like selling your soul. It's more like you can make deals with these entities, but when in doing so, they always ask for something in return. It doesn't always have to be your soul. It could be other things. But yeah, people do that all the time. Like that's what black magic is, where you are just making really high stakes deals. And it's really not something you should be messing with unless you know what you're doing, because you will get screwed. So don't do that. All right. What time is it? 6:16? Okay. I think we got time for one more, and then I'll do a reading for you. All right. I'm going to ask you guys which one you want. Wait, let me skim this. This one seems interesting. Sorry, I have 3 that I pulled up here, but I don't know which one I want to read. Let's do this one. This one seems interesting. This is from... doesn't say. All right, here we go. Hello, Sapphire. Just like you, I am a Filipina. My great-grandfather is a mangangamot. Mangangamot. This thing runs in our blood. Ever since I was a kid, I was able to see ghosts, feel entities or different energies around me. Sometimes when I enter houses or new places, I would feel that place has bad energy or good energy. If it has bad, if it has bad energy, something will feel so heavy on me, or I'll feel lightheaded or as if I was floating. Since this thing runs in our blood, my sister can also see ghosts and feel them. I remember going upstairs and seeing someone behind me lurking around the corner. Of course, I looked back to check who it was, but before I can even recognize what it was, I already had chills and felt so cold. It was a man in a barong walking. So I thought, oh, it's probably just a teacher since this is what they wear here as uniforms. But then something hit me. That man was floating. I also remember I was with my friends talking and eating lunch with them. I saw 2 girls talking to each other on the other table, but as I looked closely, the other girl she was talking to didn't have a head. I shook my head to see if what I was seeing was real. First, it still had no head, but after I shook my head twice, the head was suddenly back. In Filipino superstitions, if you see someone without a head, they are bound to die unless you control it, or called contra. I felt so bad because I didn't do anything to help or to control it, even though I know the consequence of that for her. Until today, I don't know if she's okay or even alive. I told everything to my mother, but she didn't believe, and she said that my mind was just playing tricks. As I grew up, these abilities of mine started developing. I can predict things. My auntie was eating fish with me, and suddenly there was something inside of me that wanted to say something, so I decided to say it. I said, "Auntie, fish oil is so healthy, especially for you. People like your age need fish oil. It has a vitamin that our body cannot produce by its own." After a day later, my auntie came back from the hospital, and I heard the news that my auntie was high in cholesterol and her medicine is fish oil. I was able to also predict my relative's death through a dream. I predicted 4 deaths, which is blood curdling. I had a dream where I was in a funeral and someone mentioned Mel, which is my grandma, and she's very old. I told my sister about it, and she had the same dream, same day. After 1 week, one of my relatives came to us and cried, saying, "She's dead." I asked, "Who's dead?" And she said, "Grandma Mel." And that day she said it to me, I was wearing all black. I didn't know when she'll die or whatever, but in coincidence, I was wearing all black, as if I was ready for her death or I knew it was coming. I also dreamed of my cousin saying she couldn't take it anymore and that she's tired. After 8 hours of being awake, my mother came to me and said, "Your cousin's dead." That cousin of mine is on oxygen support, which means she can only live if she had oxygen with her. I also dreamed of my friend's mother dying. There was something in me that kept bugging me to check up on her. When I did, I found out her mother died already. From that day forward, I experienced paranormal stuff still. I always dream every day that it's just normal for me. I experience sleep paralysis and frequent lucid dreaming. I can also dream of numbers that showed up in the lottery, but I can only give that number to people with good karma. Whoa. This does not have a name, but thank you for sharing that. It sounds like you are very powerful, and I wonder if I don't know, have you ever looked into being a death doula? Do you know what that is? So there's birthing doulas who help guide babies into the world, and then a death doula does the opposite, where it helps people leave the world peacefully. I don't know. It sounds like you would be really good for it. All right, y'all ready for your collective reading? Okay, this card will either resonate with you or not, and that's fine. It's just fun. So once again, this is the Angels and Ancestors Oracle deck. It's beautiful. I love it. All right, give me a second here. Oof, my neck really hurts. Oh, I haven't stretched today. I also slept funny. All right, chat. Give me a number 1 through 10. First number that comes up is the one that I will use. And I know that the chat's delayed, so. No numbers yet. 8, here we go. Oh, this is a great one. I love this card. All right, so we got the Air Guardian. Shift your perception. Isn't that pretty? All right, I'm going to read to you what that means because I haven't memorized these. Uh-oh. I know people in their chat are saying that they miss the animated videos. I do too, but the thing about the animated videos is that they take a lot out of me, physically and mentally. So I can't do them that often. I know it sounds dumb, but it really takes a lot out of me. But I am planning on starting them again in May. The first one will come out May 25, I believe, and then every other week. I'm planning on doing 5 episodes and then a break, 5 episodes and a break. So we'll see how long I keep that up because my schedule's really weird. All right, Air Guardian. Change the way you think, and you will change your whole reality. The Air Guardian card represents the angels of the air element. Traditionally, air is all about thoughts, thinking, and everything that's happening in the mind. So these angels can help you to overcome any thoughts that have come back to haunt you from the past and to see the world more clearly. They're guiding you to change the way you think about certain situations, as this could be standing between you and greatness. When the card arises, it's an opportunity to learn about your way of thinking. You're being guided to recognize that not all you see is exactly the way you see it. Sometimes the mind can play games, and sometimes our perceptions can be wrong. If you're being challenged or feel that there's a lack of clarity and direction in your life at the moment, there's a good chance the way you're thinking or what you're focusing on has a lot to do with that reality. You're being guided to open your eyes and your mind, go beyond any limits you have set for yourself, and recognize that the way you see the world is how you will experience the world. Opportunities are moving in your direction, but they will only up for you if you're ready to do the internal work to support them. Aww. Oh, so, Alicia, you want me to describe the card? So the card has this woman. She's got kind of like a brass or golden crown thing, and it's got a bunch of swirly designs. It's got some greenish jewels. She's got really pretty necklace. She has long, flowy black hair, and she's got black wings, and she's looking right at you. If you want to see it again. Yay! All right. Well, I hope the message resonates with you guys. I feel like that's just an important thing to keep in mind all the time. You know, there is truth in how our attitudes and the way that we view the world that literally does shape the world. If you think everyone's evil and out to get you, then that's your reality. But if you live with kindness, and maybe people will be kind. I don't know. People take advantage of that, though. All right, y'all. I think that's our time. I'm getting really hot in here. Well, thank you so much for joining me. I'm so happy that you came here this week. I wish all of you the best. And just a reminder, if you want to send a story to me, you send it here, storieswithsapphire@gmail.com. I live stream every single week here on YouTube now. It's now on YouTube at 5:30 Pacific Standard Time. And I will see you all next week. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, wherever you are. Remember the message of the Air Guardian, and I'll